welcome back to another episode of Podcast 572. As always, I'm your host, Kyle. I'm joined by my two friends, Dan and Matt. And we're going to do what we do every 2 weeks. We're going to talk about what we've been playing. We're going to go through some news and then take some more of your emails, which we got quite a few this week. So I will go ahead and kick it off. I'm going to leave. So I've also played Digimon Survive. So I will talk a little bit about it, and then I will lead into, you can talk about it, Dan, because you beat the game
now. I played a significant.
So I'll leave that to the end of what I've been playing, so we can lead into you.
Sure.
First thing I played, my girlfriend's really into Minecraft, and she's gotten back into like playing it nonstop. So I sprung for one of those Realm servers. So I've been playing some of that. Just relax. It's Minecraft. Like, there's nothing more to say there. They keep updating. They keep putting. There's like bees in that game. Like, that's how long it's been since I've played. There's bees in that game.
Yeah,
now.
we
There's,
haven't.
like,
You and I
turtles.
haven't played together in a couple of years at this point, right?
It's been. I think it was when the pandemic started is when we last played, because we had a buddy that made a server, and then we played for like a month, and then it kind of just fell off. So, but Minecraft is Minecraft. I have had a chance to play about 2 hours of Live Alive for the Switch finally. It is pretty great from what I played of it. It's in the same vein as like Octopath Traveler in terms of like how it looks graphically. Mm-hmm. You can choose from, I forget how many characters. I know it's not 8 like Octopath, maybe it's like 6. But each one of them, it's almost like Chrono Trigger. Each one of them is from a different time period. So you have like, there's one that's like, it's either feudal Japan or feudal China. I can't remember. There's one that's set in the present day. There's one in the like near future, and then there's one that's what they call in the distant future. There's one where you can be a wrestler, and I forget which like time period that is. It's not present day. I picked the one where it's like the near future, so I'm almost like a Chrono type character. I think the biggest thing that I would highlight about the game is the battle system is really good. It's kind of like it has like a grid, but it's kind of like a mix of like Chrono Trigger with like time based. So it's like it's the typical old school, like there's a counter, you can
active time battle.
Active
gear
time
stuff.
battle.
Okay,
exactly.
So you can't just sit there. The enemy will attack you and not just.
No, you can. It's not even. It's not active. It's just you do your turn, then they do theirs.
Oh,
so
okay.
They won't just keep it. Yeah, it's like pretty old school in that regard.
Yeah.
But I like what I've played of it thus far. I'm not super far into it at all. I'm still kind of uncovering the mystery of the game. Still learning about the character I'm playing. I couldn't even tell you what his name is because they said it like once. So
okay.
But it's cool. Like it's a really good one of those. And I feel like at some point, like Octopath, it'll probably come to other platforms like PC and then maybe Xbox and PlayStation. Because I think Octopath's on everything but PlayStation now, isn't it? It came to Game Pass. Octopath did.
It definitely came to Game Pass, and I know. Yeah,
I played some of it there.
And then there's that mobile version that came out too that I've actually been.
Yeah, I keep seeing ads for that. That's pretty recent. So, but it's cool. Like what I played of it, I'll definitely play more of it. I wanted to at least crack into it so I could speak a little bit to that game because the last Switch game
I need to do that too.
I bought Triangle Strategy, which I haven't opened yet, and then I bought Kirby, which I haven't played either. So I played the demo. So this was one where I was like, I need to just open this Switch game. So another so there's sales going on pretty much every platform this week. There's summer sales. So like Xbox has one, PlayStation has one, Steam had like a mini one, Nintendo even has one going on. So for the first time ever, at least on the Xbox, they put those Blood Rain remasters on sale.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been waiting they've been on my wish list for a while. Let me tell you about Blood Rain Remastered. So it's a file save as remaster. So there's little to no work being done. Blood Rain 2 is playable, at least is what I'll say. Like it's the thing is I recently put in my original Xbox disc because it is one of the games that is backwards compatible, and it does have like X enhancements, so it runs at 4K 60. Your original Xbox disc. So like, does this version look any better? Not really. Like, the sound quality on both games is terrible for some reason, especially the first one. Like, they did, again, no remastering was done here, but the reason why the first one is just impossible is the controls.
Well, yeah, that
early
game didn't
2000s,
didn't play well when it was out.
You
it was
you strafe with the right thumbstick, but then move with the left thumbstick, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It was like the old. It was like the Tomb Raider game that was out. They all had that weird.
Yeah,
they couldn't quite figure out how to make characters move in those games.
Right.
Exactly. Blood Rain 2 is not like that. Blood Rain 2 has modern controls, so at least it's like somewhat playable, but I didn't know that. I probably should have looked at the reviews before I bought those, because I probably wouldn't have bought at least the first one. And I'll make it through. The first one, I played the first like 2 missions, and then I said, I can't do this anymore, and I deleted that and just took it up as like, I paid $12, whatever. But the second one I'll probably run through because it's actually like enjoyable to play on the first one. So the biggest thing that I've played this week, and just because I'm trying to get through it and it's an extremely relaxing game, is Power Wash Simulator. I'm almost done with it.
Yeah, I need to play that.
I've played so much of it. I've played a mix of PC, Xbox, and I actually tried it the other day on my phone with the Backbone.
Oh,
and it worked pretty well.
So it's fine, yeah.
It actually worked pretty well. I completed a level that way, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, but it worked really well. And like I said, you're safe if you're into that ecosystem, your safe travels everywhere. You don't have to do anything. So it's exactly what that game. You know what that game? You're power washing shit. My favorite mission I've done is there's like it's a Game Pass game.
Yeah. Okay.
My favorite mission is I did one where it's like a corrupt mayor that got his house, like his mansion, egged. And you have to just wash all the eggs and
really
shit
good.
off
like
of it,
that
graffiti and stuff. And he's talking to you the entire time, like through text message.
That's good.
Like that's a good one. That's probably my favorite mission that I played in the game. But it's like this time last year is when I sat down and did the home one. I can't. What's the name of the home?
House
home
Flipper
simulator where you're building the houses.
House Flipper.
Yeah. So it's like almost a year to the date when I was playing that game. So I don't know. It's really enjoyable. It's on Game Pass.
I love those kinds of like genres of games where it's like, clean this stuff up, or like
once I finish
this building, like this kind of stuff. Like
once I finish the quote unquote campaign, then you unlock special missions which have like all sorts of crazy things. There's like there's like a temple or no, it's a pyramid, I think, that you have to clean, like stuff like that. Like it's exotic and kind of out there.
That seems pretty
cool. I look forward to that when I get that done. And then the last thing before I talk about Digimon that I played the first like 2 missions of it because a demo came out. I think you tried it too. Dealfield Chronicles.
Yeah, I played the first.
What I would say is missions, I really enjoyed what I played. I know the demo is actually pretty lengthy. I personally don't need to play any more of the demo.
I don't either. Yeah.
I played those 2 missions. It was like, I know exactly what this game is now. I can just wait a month to play it when it comes out.
I really wanted to see what the gameplay was like.
That's what I wanted to.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good
it's like RTS.
Almost like evolution of that type of game.
Yeah, it's like
it's real time.
Yeah, it reminded me of like
has the grids.
Like some kind of Halo Wars kind of thing, but like Fire Emblem setting, and like Final Fantasy type, like item management and equipment type stuff, and like
especially it reminded me a little bit like when I started of Final Fantasy Tactics meets Fire Emblem, but then especially Fire Emblem after you finish the mission and you're at the base, because I didn't know that part of the game even existed. I've watched literally nothing on this, and like you're just walking around in third person.
Talking to people
at your like base,
weapons.
talking to your base, like upgrading stuff. I didn't even know that was part of the game. So
making plans.
That was like after doing that in the second mission, I was like, I'm good. Like this game seems really good. So I look forward to playing that. I think it's out like the 22nd of September. So
that just really cemented that I'm gonna get it probably the first day and play right away. And
then finally, I played Digimon. You beat Digimon, so I'll let you speak to it more. But for me, I played like maybe the first, 2-3 hours of that game.
How many fights have you done?
About 2 to 3, I think.
That sounds right.
So
yeah,
there's not like, and that's the thing. Like, if you look at the game and you're looking for like a role playing like JRPG with like a good battle system, like that's like, I wouldn't say it's a bad battle system, but that's not this game. This game is very much a visual novel with a few fights, and like that's fine. I have no problem with that because that's kind of what I was looking at the game for. Like when you were describing it, and then I started watching some trailers and stuff. Like it seemed out there, and I also know nothing about Digimon at all. I've never played a Digimon game. I've never watched a cartoon as a kid. So like I knew nothing about it going in. Like I like the tone of it. It's pretty fucking dark for like a. It'd be like if Pokemon took this kind of weird turn, like left turn into this kind of road. I would probably be more interested in Pokemon.
Yeah, so this game like, goes some places, man. Like
it's pretty dark and like, but also like the other thing, and this is important for these types of games because again, in a visual novel, there's only so much you're seeing. But I think the music of it's really good too. Yeah, there's like good musical cues between like peaceful and calm to like some fucked up thing just happened. Right now, it's like really tense music. But I've really enjoyed what I've played of it thus far. So it's just every night this week. I've sat down like I just want to power wash some stuff, so I'm trying to get through that. And then I'm gonna like hardcore get through this game.
It takes some investment because it's kind of like reading a book, and like the fights. There are fights, and as you play through more, like it definitely picks up like frequency, and it gets to a point where you can choose to fight like random battles and stuff, which is kind of important because that's the only way you can get more characters. You have to like capture them, or not even capture them, like you talk to them and convince them to join your team. That mechanic doesn't seem important early on, like you don't, because you have your team of people and they'll like you'll always have people, but I finished my first playthrough and I can tell you that mechanic is very important and you do need to spend time doing at least some of that. You don't need to get all of them, but you're going to need a stable of characters for later and you're going to need to level them because the big thing about this game is there are 4 paths through the game. Like there are 4 different ways this story can kind of go. One of them is only after you've beaten the game once, you unlock the ability to kind of get like what's called like the truthful route. So you have to play twice if you want like what actually is supposed to happen. Because I think I talked about it.
Didn't you say there's a couple characters in your realm that died?
Well, yeah. So it's a little misleading because you kind of get set on a path so the game's got multiple chapters. It's like I want to say it's like 15 chapters or something like that. Okay. But something very important happens in chapter 3 that will set the tone for the rest of the game. So it's not necessarily that like a character could die at any time. It's more so that when this one thing happens, you've set off a chain of events where these people are going to die. So it's kind of lame in that way, but like there's also a point at like chapter 8 where you kind of pick what route you want to go down. If you're not going down like the correct route, there's a 3-way option.
Is there a way to beat it where everybody lives, or is that not possible?
I think you can only do that with the way I'm doing it now after a new game.
Okay.
Because like I said, in chapter 3, one character's death kind of kicks everything else off. So like basically it comes down to if this guy lives or dies is the break point of this game. And getting him to live, now that I've done it, is not difficult, but it requires your full attention. Like, and even when I did it, like, because I just did that part like yesterday, even when I did it, I wasn't sure it was going to happen because it follows what happened the first time pretty clear, and then at the end, you have one like last choice. And if you make the right one, it's important to note in this game you can save scum. You can just save immediately before you make any choice. Before you make any choice in the game, you can save. And
that makes sense though, because that was one thing I noticed like early on in the game. Is like I can just save whatever I want, which is good for this type.
You need to be able to in this game because it is slow and there aren't necessarily like natural breakpoints where you want to save. Some chapters are longer than others, some aren't. The nicest thing about the game now that I'm playing through it a second time is like because it is so dialogue heavy, like obviously I don't need to hear, at least up until that point, I didn't need to hear all that stuff again because it plays out the same way. But there's a skip function and there's an auto function. And the best part is since it's a new game plus, all of your characters keep their levels. So like I have level 70 dudes in the beginning and things don't level with you. So since the battles are going to be trivial at this point, you can auto battle. That's an option. Like if you're in a battle, you can hit start, pick auto, and then basically just hold down X to make it fast forward. And my guys are killing everything possible. The only time I don't do that is if I'm like, because I'm actively trying to recruit different Digimon characters, because some of them only appear at certain times in certain runs.
Okay.
Which is a pain in the ass because I want to do all of it. But
are there any like achievements and trophies for getting like a specific Digimon?
You have to get all of them.
You have to, okay.
Yeah, you literally have to catch
my next question.
Or own all of them in some form.
Okay. How many are there in the game?
100.
Really? That's way more than I thought, considering.
Yeah, but that's counting evolutions. So, like...
okay.
Like, your main character, you have an Agumon, and at a certain point, depending on the choices you made, he turns into different ones. And then, at the end, when he goes to Mega, which is, like, in theory, the highest one, depending on the choices you've made till that point, he becomes a different one. So you kind of have to play it a couple times to force other lines. So for completionists, it's a lot of work because you kind of have to stop and do that kind of stuff. But it's interesting to see, like, now that I'm on the true path, I get to see, like, what the game is actually supposed to end.
The best way I would describe it as someone that knows nothing about Digimon, at least for this game, is it's a good
okay to get into this one.
Pokemon. To like Shin Megami.
Well, yeah,
the way that
all Digimon games,
speak to you, which is cool.
Well, all Digimon games have that kind of element where like Pokemon like capture kind of like build stats. This game, other games in the past have focused more on build stats. Like World is kind of weird where you kind of have to level them up to a certain point, to the point where they like die and are reborn, and then hatch them and build their stats more in certain ways. That one's a lot more work. The Cyber Sleuth games are more of what I would call like a story-based RPG that actually has like 3v1 mechanics where like you have 3 characters, you tell them what moves to do and they do it, and it's just like I take a turn, you take a turn, kind of that kind of stuff. This one's grid-based, like kind of some of the older. Yeah, it reminds, like, the grid stuff just kind of reminds me of like Tactics Advance. It's not super deep.
It's what it seemed like.
Yeah. Each character has like 2 moves, and it's just moving around. But the game isn't about battling. Like
it's not.
And you get to points where like in the battles they have discussions. And
that's where I saw like the critical reviews were kind of all over the place because some people really like it because the visual novel aspect.
I don't think anybody who's critical understood what it is.
Yeah, I think that you have those people that went into it thinking it's a JRPG, and it's really not.
It's not.
It has elements of a JRPG.
If you want to play those, play Cyber Sleuth, or if you really want to play it, go nuts and play Digimon World 3 for PS1. That's like that's one of ones that I would consider like the true Digimon experience. If you really want to play like a Digimon game, Digimon World 3 for PS1 is really good. The DS ones are good too, but it's really good. I'll finish up this Truthful one. I might take a break on it after I finish this run, just because I don't know if I need to do 4 runs of this in a row. Just because that's a lot. And it's going to be a lot of repeats.
It's a lot of a visual novel where like
it's a lot of repeat stuff.
Certain things that are different.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can see that.
At some point, I'll finish it just because I like it enough to do that.
Yeah. What else have you played?
Yeah, the only other major thing, I mean, I played the Dealfield Chronicles thing. That was good.
Probably had the same. I did.
Yeah, I want to play more. My bi-weekly platinum trophy update. I got the trophy in MLB 18 because I'm trying to clear up as much of the older like baseball games as I can. But the only other like major title I played is I'm finally going to get through Red Dead Redemption 2. I never finished it.
You had played some of it, though, right?
Yeah, I had played a decent amount of it on the Xbox, and then now it's on the Plus thing.
Okay.
But I think it's coming off of it soon. But I finally wanted to like play through that story because I always liked Red Dead Redemption 1 more than like a Grand Theft Auto game. And,
I did too.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where let's just go through this story and play.
Where are you in the story? Like?
Oh, I'm not very far. I've only done like the first couple. I'm at the point where I can
gotten into it, like on the Xbox.
Again, not very far. Like I did probably the first third of it. I mean, I'm at the point now where I can run around and do what I want, which is, when the game starts, I guess you'd say. But I've done it. It's a longer game than you think. I know it is.
It has a really good epilogue without spoiling.
Yeah. But I love, like I said, I love the first game, and like, now I'm playing on my PS5 on my big TV. Like I never played it like this, when it was out 4 years ago. So I put a lot more into that, and then I made an online character and I'm running around doing that. But that's just side.
Just like, really. Is there even anything to do online?
I found one person. Like that, the online in that game, for all intents and purposes, is dead. But
yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. It is unfortunate, but I really like the game. Like it just controls really well and everything about it. Like it looks great and like gunplay works and all that kind of stuff. So, that's really all I've done. I do need to. The other major thing I did was the Analog Pocket core support came out.
Yeah.
So I loaded up it's full of all my Game Boy Advance and Color and cool. Game Boy ROMs, and they look incredible and they work incredible. And I'm just waiting for them to put NES and Super Nintendo cores on there, and then look at that. I've got a system with literally everything on it hooked up to my TV because that's gonna.
I was gonna say because you can dock it.
I've got my dock like. So yeah, and like NES and Super Nintendo can easily run on that thing with no problems. For sure. Once those cores are out and like. Get a Game Gear core on there, get a TurboGrafx core on there.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, dude, that's the only system I need. I'll pack all the rest of them up.
There you go.
Who cares? That's pretty much it.
What have you been playing, Matt?
So for me, I decided to start Bully. I found the Scholarship Edition a while back, and I was like, you know what? I was like, it's time to crack it.
We're talking that game.
Yeah. Okay. So
you never played it?
No. Like this will be my first run through for it. The funny thing is I have that on like 2 different systems right now. It's just I've never jumped into it. So I was like, that's why when I bought it now, and I was like, you know what? I think it'd be a good time to jump into this and see what it's about. I haven't gotten very far. Like I'm probably only 30 minutes in. So I know it's really just kind of the basics right now. So I'm hoping to deep dive into that within the next, hopefully some this weekend. I'm thinking maybe Saturday evening I'm going to try and dive into it for a couple of hours.
So Bully is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
I don't think I 100% the PS2 version, but I first played it when it came out on PS2. It's one of the last like PS2 games I played. And then it was like shortly after that they announced the 360 version, which is what you're playing. Essentially, is the Scholarship Edition, which they add some stuff to it. It's like maybe 1 or 2 extra classes you can go to, which are a bitch towards the 100%. But it's easily the best version of that game. So, and it's fully backwards compatible. I have 100% that game 5 times between the 360 version. There is a PS4, like PS2 to PS4 version that has trophies. I did that a couple years ago. Since you said you were playing it, I'm actually, and I'll plug it from my YouTube channel, Marvel Gallery. I'm actually going to do a video on it. I've wanted to for a long time, but like you saying, like I'm playing Bully, and then it was on one of those digital sales. Like I have copies of Bully, but it was on one of those digital sales for like $5 or something. So I picked it up, and I'm actually playing through it on my girlfriend's profile.
Nice.
So I'm capturing footage and stuff for that video I'm going to do. But like, there's a good chance I'll probably 100% like. Okay.
Yeah, so I figured I needed to try and tackle it. If I keep buying it for systems and don't play it, I think that's a downfall on me at this point in time in my life. So I picked that up. Like I said, I think Saturday I'm going to try and start diving deep into it more. I should be able to play like at least like 2 to 2.5 hours of it maybe Saturday. I don't have any plans, so I'm going to shoot for that. I did play some more Power Wash Simulator.
Awesome.
It is really calming, so I have to catch myself because I normally play late when like I'm trying to put the baby down.
I have fallen asleep many times playing that game because it is so relaxing.
Hey man,
yeah,
I get it.
I mean, hell, it's like, you know, the crazy thing is I have a power washer in my garage that I need to do my house with, but then I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna play it online. Why would I?
No, man, you get wet doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And then I actually did start diving back into Dead Space 2.
Dead Space 2. Have you ever finished it?
No, I got like to the very end where there's like those levels you have to work through, I think, and
you got to the eye part.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I ran out of ammo, and it auto saved on me. So I threw it down. I never came back to it. But then I was like, you know what, man? It's right here on Game Pass. Let's just try and jump back into it again. So I think I'm gonna try.
Are you excited for the remaster or remake?
Yeah,
or the original?
I am pretty stoked. I'm
excited to play that. That's my favorite of the.
So I've never really played the first one.
First one's my favorite.
I jumped into the second one because I heard positive things about the first one, and I was like, the second one popped out, and I just went ahead and started playing it because it was there. But I have the first one and the second one and the third one on the PS3, so I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I know. So I think I am gonna try to start maybe playing through the first one, until the remaster comes out too. Yeah, because I really think I want to try and see if I can go through it on at least before it comes out. But I mean, life. I don't think I'll be able to, but I'm still gonna try it.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm excited about the remaster. That first one, hell of a game. The second one's really good too. Obviously, I mean, I just said the third one's pretty bad, but
yeah,
the first one
that's the kind of game deserves it's been long enough.
That
game came out when I was working at Game Crazy, man. Like, they can come out now.
The best explanation I can say is like Dead Space 1 is like Alien. Dead Space 2 is like Aliens. It's much more action. The first one is very much more of a horror. Like, so that's probably why I like the first one more. But they're both good. So that third one though, like, went too big, too bombastic.
We don't talk about the third one.
Killed the franchise.
Multiplayer, like co-op.
It has co-op, and the co-op's not very good. So it's also like very snowy. It's not.
Yeah.
So, all right, and that wraps up what you've been playing.
Yeah, that tackles everything I've been touching.
All right, well, we'll dive into the news. First thing, which I added one of the stories, but there's actually two here, is that Microsoft and Sony are kind of at each other's throats right now. Over the main thing it boils down to is they're at each other's throats over that Activision acquisition. Sony has come out and claimed that COD is essential. They're afraid of Microsoft's acquisition of Activision.
I laugh because they're concerned it'll influence users' console choice.
It won't.
Well, first off, like, I mean, if it does, isn't that the whole point of them buying it? So yeah,
sure. But secondly,
how about when they used to do exclusive DLC, timed exclusives? Doesn't that influence console decisions? Like, you can't have it both ways, dude.
But here's what I'll tell you will influence people on Call of Duty. It's not the fact that Microsoft owns Activision. It's the fact that whenever that deal goes through, I think it's on Game Pass. It's on Game Pass. That's going to influence people because, hey, it's right there. I can play it.
But he can't claim that, like, he's upset about that when they actively tried to do that, or they actively did do it.
No, it's weird that now all of a sudden in the last year, this deal's been when did that deal go through? January, and we're in August.
At least, yeah.
And now it's like now they're coming out and saying like, well, we're afraid of that. Like,
well, the other thing is too, it's like we talked about it before. Like, Microsoft's not gonna.
They're not going to
keep COD off of the system.
No,
they're not that dumb. Like, if there's their money to be made,
they take Minecraft off other platforms.
They put it on more systems. Yeah.
Minecraft is a game that just prints money for them. Why would they do that?
And they're going to do the same thing with COD. Like, if you're upset that it's a console decision because if you subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate, you'll get it for free. Then that is
like that'll be on the cloud probably.
Then why don't you swing it? Then how about you swing a deal to put it on Plus Extreme or Plus Ultimate or Elite?
Microsoft, they're cut.
Dangerous, like whatever it's called. Who cares? Premium.
Well, on the flip side of this, for whatever reason, Microsoft fired back with some accusations that Sony has paid money to block certain games coming into Game Pass. Which,
I'm sure they have.
Being honest, I'm sure they have. Now they don't have to. They have their own servers, so like they can totally do that. Although I don't know if we're going to get another Stray like situation where they have a game that comes out day and day for this service.
They haven't said anything.
Yeah,
but it's funny. It's funny too that like they'll argue this about COD's an essential game, but in the meantime, like there's all these rumors that they might buy Square, and like, do you think it's more likely that COD is on PlayStation or that Final Fantasy is still on Xbox?
Yeah,
well, it's probably COD on PlayStation.
Yeah, like
if they buy Square, they're gonna lock most of that stuff down.
Well, because the Part 2 of the 7 remake is only on PS5.
Right.
And Final Fantasy 16 will probably only be on PS5. Like
at least for a long time.
I've always just associated that franchise as a PlayStation franchise anyway, so whatever.
Right.
But like
ever since it originally moved over from Nintendo, like Nintendo. It just became a PlayStation franchise.
That is one.
Now just make it official. Like that's the other thing is like just do it. Like Square clearly is ready for it. They're waiting. They're waiting for you to do this. They dumped all the stuff you didn't want.
At this point, if it means that maybe some older IPs can come back from the dead, like JRPG IPs from like that PS1 era, I'm all for it. Do it.
Yeah, and they're clearly priming themselves for it. That's why they dumped Tomb Raider and Crystal Dynamics and all this stuff. They dumped all of it off. Like they're trying to make themselves like, look, man, we make Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest now. And,
I forgot.
And we try new stuff like Forspoken and this Harvestella thing coming out. And if that doesn't kick off, then we quickly abandon it. Trust us, that's what we do. But so like that should just happen. I don't know why that hasn't happened yet, but just finish it.
What can you tell me about the Sega Genesis Mini 2 North American release?
I can tell you it's a shit show. Like this thing, it sucks. Like I really want one, but all told, to get one in America, you can only get it through Amazon, and it's not even really kind of through Amazon. It's through Amazon Japan.
Yeah.
But it's a North American unit, and it costs almost $100, and then you have to pay the shipping, which is like $26. So it's like $126 to get this. They're basically just making me not have to import it by making me import it.
For something that would probably be, if it released over here, be what, like $80, $90?
In Japan, it's $80, and the last one didn't cost me $126. I don't know, man. It really, and then the best part is because of like, all the standard arguments sound like chips and all this other stuff, and like, is this popular?
Of course.
Oh, only 10% of the production quantity is even allocated to America. So, so there's not even going to be that many, but I think you could still get them. I think they're kind of proving that they're pricing out because nobody cares. I'm not willing to pay that much. As someone who likes these mini systems and has bought
I'm in the same
pretty much all of them, I'm not willing to pay $126. Like,
I'm not either. Now, maybe if it was a Dreamcast.
But like, if this was what they were going to do, and it was Amazon only, and there's only 10% of them, can't you just ship them over here so that they're all sitting in Washington to be shipped out?
Yeah, and
so
then
I don't have to pay the shipping.
Make a big deal about it, like this day only you can reserve it or something.
Yeah,
they run out.
It's just
they all got a shit show still, but it would be a more.
They all got to come in here anyway. Just ship them all over there and then ship them out. So
it's a weird situation considering it's through Amazon.
Yeah, it's
making Amazon members eat the shipping on something that can only be bought through Amazon kind of sucks.
It's dumb.
So, yeah, I think I'll pass. Now, but like you said, if it was a Dreamcast, I'd pay twice that.
I'd pay twice. Yeah,
$250. Who cares?
Same. Who cares? Not a problem.
You want me to pay $40 shipping? Sure, whatever. Let's do it.
Yeah, whatever.
So there was some Tomb Raider stuff that got leaked, and obviously it's official because once it leaked, it was immediately like taken down. It's codenamed Project Jawbreaker, which I think is funny. It's basically what you expect. It's supposed to be. It is both a continuation of the trilogy we just had, and it's not at the same time.
Right.
This is going to be her after she's gone through being regular to being super Lara Croft now.
Superhuman, yeah.
You know what I mean? She's not superhuman, but like has her confidence.
Man, she fought like a shadow god or some shit in the last
at the end of the last one, yeah, for sure. So maybe she does have superpowers. I mean, I think we talked about it in the last episode. Like they're going to recast the character, which is fine. But I just thought it was funny that like this information was leaked on a podcast, and then like within 24 hours, the people that the podcast was on actually had to take down and edit that out of their podcast.
Oh, that's good.
So like that information clearly was real. So
yeah,
so I found that interesting.
It's just good because It's not an origin story anymore. Like we don't.
It doesn't need to be.
I
don't need another Laura
where she came from.
Croft origin. We had a really good trilogy.
The last 3 were great. Yeah.
Yeah. I threw this in there as a joke because I think it's hilarious. But 6 years after it was announced, Beyond Good and Evil 2 hired its lead writer. Think
finally.
about that. Woo-hoo. Think about that lead writer.
Well, I laughed too because it's 6 years after it was announced, but it was also rumored for like 6 years before that. So it's in reality, it's been.
When did we see that quote unquote trailer for the game? What E3 was that?
Oh my god. It's got to be the one that was 6 years ago. Yeah.
It has to be. So, I don't know. I never played the original Beyond Good and Evil, so I can't speak to it. I have no reverence for it, so...
I don't either.
I'm in the camp of I don't care.
I think I played a little bit of it, and I just didn't care.
I probably won't play this one either, so... But I put it in here as a joke, because I just thought it was funny. Like, we just hired our lead writer. We're, on Elder Scrolls 6 timeline for that game, so...
Jesus.
Let's see. Sony, this is a good one. Sony polled people about what NFTs they buy in some survey they sent out. Pissed off a ton of people, and then I'm pretty sure I saw they backed off of this idea, which obviously...
Yeah. I think this was more so hey, if we were gonna make these, what would you want? And everybody's like, we don't fucking want them. Oh, never mind.
Was one of those. Another one I put in here is just a fun one. Is it going to happen? Probably not, but I wish it would. Legend of Dragoon. I don't know if you ever played that JRPG back.
A little bit, yeah. I didn't have a PlayStation at the time, so yeah.
There's some rumors going on that they could be making a comeback, either a remake of it, or it's either a remake of it, or it's one of those the Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9 remasters.
Yeah,
the PS1 graphics,
or it could
up-resed.
It could just end up being the PS1 classic thing that they did for Plus stuff, which is fine.
I would love.
I was gonna say I actually saw an article that said that it was supposed to be coming to the Plus, the PS.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that just keeps saying it really looks like it's happening. It really looks like it's happening, but they're not gonna say anything until probably the day it happens. Hey, guess what comes out tomorrow?
Let's get into the delay corner here. It's a couple big games that got delayed this week.
Quick, just a quick bite before that. There's a new Fatal Fury game coming finally, which is
what was the last one? 99?
99.
Okay.
And then there's they teased Tekken 8 at EVO, so hey man.
Well, considering DOA is a dead franchise,
I mean,
Tekken will live on.
Tekken 7
live on.
Tekken 7 is great, and it did really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then they had Soul Calibur, so now they bounced back to Tekken. So that's too good. I'm hoping Fatal Fury is good. I'd like to play one, but Tekken 8, I'm definitely
The last Soul Calibur was 6, right?
6, yeah.
And that was PS4, Xbox One generation.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I don't think I played 6. I played 4 and 5. 4 was the one that. 4 was the one that had Yoda and Starkiller and Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's the last one. But here, let's talk about the good delay corner. Is these games keep getting delayed?
So many of them.
Midnight Suns suffers its second major delay into what we assume is next March, because it's the end of the fiscal year, which at the end of the fiscal year is March. So,
well, I laugh because it's not only that, but the PS4 and Xbox One versions TBD. It's just cancel.
That's the other thing. It's my honest guess about it is those versions will be canceled after this.
Right.
The next gen versions will come out.
Just cancel.
The current gen. Yeah. At this point,
it's been long enough.
Other delays. I forgot about this game, and I'm glad I put it on here so I remembered. Metal Slug Tactics has been delayed until next year.
That game looks incredible.
I totally forgot. That game looks incredible, and I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then the big one that actually just hit today, Hogwarts Legacy has been delayed until February, which, again, that's fine. I get why you want to have it out this fall because it would have been a good holiday. People were going to buy the shit out of that game.
I bet it gets delayed again.
You think it gets delayed again to summer?
I think so. Maybe longer. I think ends up being a holiday thing.
That footage they put out was pretty impressive. So
I don't know. That game feels like it's destined to be delayed again.
It could.
I could see that.
this was a cool story. Super Punch Out Secret 2-player mode was discovered the other day.
That is wild.
After like 28 years, yeah. Like, I guess nobody even knew that this was a thing.
No one had ever known it before, which is insane. And then it turns out that like the codes are somewhat similar to known existing codes. So it's like, how did nobody figure it out?
Yeah,
it's so years, wild.
I just thought that was a cool story because it's like
it's even cooler because it works on the Switch Online version. Like they didn't patch it out, anything like that. Like it still works in newer versions of that game.
It's cool though, and it like does that code even work in like, let's say, because I'm pretty sure isn't that game on like the Nintendo Switch Online?
That's what I just said. Like it works in there.
That's cool.
Like they didn't even take it out; they just put it in there.
That's pretty cool. Another one that we keep hitting, but like maybe it's actually gonna hit. GoldenEye, the long rumored, like we know it exists. We've seen the achievement list for it. We've seen footage of it being played completely through beginning to end, like the worst kept secret. Right. It might be announced at Gamescom.
It's never been about like, can we make this game? It's like, can we release it? It's always been licensing.
I believe the opening night of Gamescom is the 25th anniversary of the release. So like, it would be a good time to be like, hey, it's out today. It's on Game Pass. Like,
as long as the licenses have been figured out, sure. And then of course there's now like the thing where like supposedly it's affected by like the Ukraine stuff, which I could see.
I could see,
but I don't know. It's just that game's going to be the kind of thing where it's like one day they're just going to be like, here it is. Like it's just they're not. I will tell you, they're probably not going to do the thing where they're like, and it comes out in 3 months. No, they're going to say it comes out today. The day it's talked about.
Exactly. And then the last thing, this actually happened today as of our recording, and I honestly didn't even know this was happening today. THQ Nordic had an event. THQ Nordic is like the brand Nordic, or the publisher Nordic bought the rights to the THQ name, so it's not the same THQ from like 10 years ago, but they've bought and they've picked up like most of those licenses.
They bought a ton of stuff.
They bought a ton of stuff, and like they've been sitting on a lot of old IPs and stuff. So there was some cool announcements at this. The biggest one for me, because it came out of left field, I didn't even know this was the thing that was happening, is they are going to remake the original Alone in the Dark. I would say it's more of a reimagining. It's not a straight up remake, because it sounds like the story's going to be different.
Yeah.
They put out a trailer. It looks really good. The big things to point out about this is that the writer that wrote the Amnesia games and Soma is writing the story for this game, and those games are all very good story-based horror games. So this has a chance, but it's like a Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake style. So it's like the third-person over-the-shoulder camera. You will play as the long-running series protagonist, Edward Carnby, and then there's also another character you're going to switch on and off of through the story of the game. So, but I'm really excited about it. I mean, I will go to bat for pretty much any horror game that gets announced, but like Alone in the Dark is obviously a franchise that kind of started survival horror, pretty much did start survival horror, and then unfortunately, like after a New Nightmare, was that what it was called? The last PS1 game. They did a terrible, like 2000, I think it was 2008. There was that terrible Alone in the Dark game for 360.
Just Alone in the Dark,
very bad. And then in the like 2010s, they tried to make this like multiplayer only game. It was PC only. I tried it. It's not good. So it's kind of like the rights of this franchise have always been there, but I'm glad that somebody actually finally like bought it and is doing something worthwhile with it, rather than like here's another shit multiplayer game or something. And I'm also glad that this game is set in like a specific time period. It's not trying to do a modern like horror, because that's what the 2008 game was, like modern. It just didn't work. So that looks cool. Some of the other things that came out, there's the developers behind Burnout and Need for Speed are making a game called Recreation, is what it's called. That looks pretty wild.
It looks cool, but
like every aspect of the crashes and stuff. It seems like
I hate it because I feel like every couple of years you always hear something's like, from the people who made Burnout, they're making this. Or people who made Burnout are making this. And this game has people who made Burnout working. It's like, why can't I just get another Burnout game?
Yeah.
Like, Paradise is really good. Like, where's
Paradise
the
was
next
really
one?
good.
Yeah, it was.
3 is really good. Like
Paradise was the last racing game I played until Horizon 3. So
there you go.
Like Burnout Paradise, because I'm not a big racing person, but like Burnout Paradise was
a fantastic game. Where is the next one? How come they have to make weird other racing games or a weird golf game or a weird crash simulator game? Like it's just, I just want a Burnout game.
The other big remake they're working on is they're remaking the original Gothic, which is, I think the original one was a PC. It was a PC RPG, and then there were some other sequels to it that came out on consoles and stuff. But I'm interested in that too because it's a game I never played. Also, I mean, they had some lesser announcements. I think the other like really big one here was we've seen some of this footage before, but the AEW wrestling game kind of had some more footage come out. They talked about some of the gameplay. I don't know, like as someone who thinks that 2K22 is really good this year, I'm interested to see this take on wrestling. Like if this game actually turns out to be all right, or if it isn't. I don't know. You know, obviously we could go on for hours about how AEW right now is, not the greatest.
Things are kind of swinging the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, things are kind of swinging back towards WWE right now, which is interesting. But this game has also been in development for 3 years. So they pretty much announced this game like maybe a couple months after like the AEW, what is it called, Dynamite, when it's on TV. When that started, it was like maybe a couple weeks after. Like, hey, we're working on this video game. So
they've been talking about it for a really long time.
So it's not like this game is just something they made in the last 6 months, like your standard WWE game. Like they've been working on this for a while. So there's a little hope there that maybe it'll be something different because I'm all for more wrestling games rather than just 2K every year.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what this one brings to the table. I'm sure it's out this year.
I think there's room for like an arcadier style game.
Yeah, exactly.
WWE tries to be so much simulation.
They're very simulation.
Yeah, you know, they're different games. They can be different games, and you can have both and enjoy both.
And then they showed a new trailer for Destroy All Humans 2, which is out at the end of this month. So that's like right around the corner. I just recently replayed the first one because it's on Game Pass. I just finished that. That was actually, I should have mentioned that. That was the other thing I played. I just finished that. Pretty good remake of that game. Destroy All Humans 2. I'll wait. I'm not going to buy it right away. I'll wait because I feel like this one will also hit Game Pass in that like 6-month mark anyways. So, but that was kind of the other thing that they showed. And then at the very end of the show, they teased a new South Park game with an audio clip of Randy taking shit, and I thought that was pretty funny. So I look forward to another South Park game because those 2 South Park games are pretty great.
They're really good.
Like they're really good RPGs. So like totally unexpected, like that they could make a good South Park game. So, but that kind of wraps up the news this week. I don't think there was any other like major things. We're on the cusp. I think the next time we record, we'll be able to talk about Gamescom because that's happening. Yeah. So we'll have some big news to talk about then. It's kind of there's some stuff hitting, but it's also, we're in August. We're getting ready to hit the fall, which normally I would say there's going to be a lot of games coming out, but everything's getting delayed. So there's some stuff to play though. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit it off with some emails. I'm going to kind of jump around on the emails that we got here. But the first one we're going to talk about was actually one that just came in. This is hot off the presses today. This is
a good one.
This is more of a story than it really is.
We like stories too.
Yeah, we like your GameStop stories. We love hearing from current employees, former employees. The thing I'll always say is if you want to write into us and you're a current employee, I'm not going to give out your location because obviously we don't want you to get in trouble. Yeah. This guy wrote in, Casey from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is not a current employee, so I don't have any problems saying that.
Everything's fair game. Yeah.
Fair game. Says, hey guys, love the show and the GameStop talk. Former employee here. I was curious. I used to work in a mall store, and I worked there from 2014 till 2019. I very much really got to see the death of retail from a mall's perspective. Our district managers, yes, we had several, never could understand that a mall store is mostly 75% window shopping. Getting numbers in a mall store was next to impossible Yet all of the DMs I had would not understand this and would give us some ridiculous ways to ramp up business. That's in quotations.
Yeah.
There were times when I was expected to go to other stores in the mall with flyers and wait for customers to come outside the store to hand them a flyer and talk up the current promotions. This was embarrassing and never worked. I did it once. Every time after, I would just take an hour and walk around instead. I wanted to share this after hearing the episode where Dan had said that he had done the same thing after being given a task at a meeting at a mall. It was dumb, it was bullshit, and one of the worst things I've ever been asked to do at a job. I just wanted to share this. Thanks.
I love it. Because that is what they would do.
They never understood that. Like, even for the one, we had 2 mall stores in the same mall in our district
for a while,
and then obviously
and
one of them was,
and one outside of it,
and one right out, like literally right across the parking lot.
Yeah,
and then the one of the 2 stores that was in the mall was an Even Games, and obviously they got bought out, so it just became another GameStop. Because for a while they justified it by they both did enough to get by, I guess. Right. And then eventually
that was back in the days of where malls were a thing, or I should say all malls are a thing. Like that mall specifically, it had been dying for years, like for years and years and years, and it's finally dead now. But like the thing about like they don't understand that a mall store is like that. The thing is, I would tell you, they know, but they can't admit it.
They can't admit
it. They know exactly what it is, but they cannot admit it to you because remember, they have to be the ones who go to their bosses and be like, "This is what I'm having them do. I'm having them do this and that and blah blah blah." None of it works. Mall stores are a joke. Like we called the store. Like that was your death note in our district.
Oh, in our district,
where the manager
was just down to the one
got
mall store,
transferred to the mall store.
Mm-hmm.
Your writing's on the wall, dude. You need to look for a new job because you will be gone. And it was funny because when I took over my store, the guy who used to work in my store got sent to the mall. And the people who got sent to the mall, they were the ones they didn't like. Like you want an excuse to fire someone, man, your numbers suck. Store. Yeah. That kept up for a while until they eventually gave up on the mall store essentially, and they turned it into an SL2 store, which is just a store that like a manager would also run because they knew that they didn't really have to be there because there was nothing they could do. It was going to suck.
And I want to interject here and say, if you have stories about stores in your district or you worked at a store that is an SL2 store, I would love to hear it.
That's too common
because it's one of the dumbest things. It's got to be so very common now. You're basically taking one manager and making them manage 2 stores, which is not
bounce
a good
back
idea
and forth. And like we were pretty convinced that the guy who was doing this wasn't actually doing it. Because he would never. It's funny because you'd look for him, you'd call either store, and he wouldn't be in either one. To his credit, those stores were wildly far apart, which was pretty funny. It wasn't even like it was like the next town over. It was a while away. But yeah, and the wildest thing was like that store was always bad. The reason they're bad for numbers people don't understand is because A, there is window shopping, but B, like they can't be open for midnights. So even when reserves and midnights were a big thing, they weren't allowed to do it. And when you have a store outside of the mall that can do it, where do you think people are going to reserve it?
You're going to go there.
Right. So like those stores are just kind of doomed. Now, if we had been doing collectibles for a longer time, that's when you make that store 75% collectibles and Pokemon cards and crap, and then have some games. Like, you know what I mean? Like they could have
exactly. No,
those stores could have had a better focus, but they just didn't exist by the time we got collectibles and stuff. And that store was dead. And I'll never understand it too because they also paid to remodel that store. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
they ripped everything out. They moved the counter. They changed everything about it, and it still fucking failed. The other bad part about mall stores, if you ever worked in one, like a lot of stores are notorious for having really bad back rooms. Like I worked at one that was essentially a closet and a bathroom. That sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Pro tip for people who go shop at stores: your used system you bought was probably stored in a bathroom. Just so you know, because we didn't have any room. We didn't have any choice. We did what we could, but like it was literally like a probably a 15-foot tall ceiling with like shelves going all the way up with stuff on it. But the store Kyle and I worked at, we were lucky we had
a
rather
pretty
large back
for
room.
a GameStop. Yeah, I'd say we had.
We had an entire system room. We had
a system room, and then we had kind of like another area,
kind of like an entryway. Yeah,
but
and
that's where we stored a lot of games,
back.
And then the back area with like the desk and then the bathroom was
accessories and stuff,
off, obviously.
And marketing. So so
we were blessed to have a large.
We were blessed, and like I've been in some stores that have cavernous back rooms. There was this Lake Zurich's back room when it was next to the Walmart was massive. You could have fit stores inside of it. It had a hallway. Damn. It had 2 doors. It had a giant back room. That room had another room in it. It was not like you walk in there and be like, this sucks. And not to mention that store was huge as it was. We were lucky our store, I'd say, was average size, but like the store I worked at before was skinny, narrow, and had no back room. And the malls were worse. That mall, our mall specifically, it was a very tight passageway. You could only fit one person in at a time. And it led in a straight line to a bathroom that was the size of the closet in your room. Like it was awful. But yeah, like that's a good story because the flyer stuff, they would force you to do that, especially at a mall. Like walk around and hand them out. It's like not doing that.
Nobody wants.
Take a break. Walk to the other side of the mall, throw them in the trash, and sit down. There you go.
Sit down. Go order some. You're in a mall. Go order some food.
Go to the food court.
Take a lunch break.
Go to Long John Silver's. Get some hush puppies.
I can't blame you. All right. Next email we have Colin from Indianapolis, Indiana. Hi guys, I love the show. Was curious if you both have many years in video game retail. What was the busiest Black Friday you worked, and what was the slowest? I imagine you guys probably saw a decline over those 2 decades. It means both of us. Yeah. Thanks. So you're gonna have more to tell than I am.
Yeah. You go ahead.
The busiest Black Friday I ever worked actually was not at GameStop. It was when I worked at Target.
Yours would have been Target.
I kind of saw the craziest Black Friday shit I've ever seen. As a general rule, personally, I only ever one time in my life went out shopping on a Black Friday because I knew how fucked up it was. Yeah. But I wanted to see it myself one year. I did it one year and then never again. It was like, I'll just order shit online. Like, I don't care. I don't need to see this. And that was back in I'd say that was like 2010, 2011. So that was like back when it was still a pretty big deal. The Target story, I would say, is probably around like 2007. The biggest thing I remember is it was the fall that had both Guitar Hero 3 and Rock Band 1. I remember wheeling pallets of these games out and watching them disappear in about 30 seconds because people were just going fucking crazy. People pushing and shoving. I mean, everything that you've ever seen in like a movie, it's real when it comes to Black Friday. Like back in its heyday, like that shit was real. It was devastating. You'd see people getting pushed over, shoved down. Like it's nuts. Yeah. In terms of GameStop, for me, the first year I was there, I would say it was that would have been 2013. It was pretty busy, but I wouldn't say it was like crazy.
No, because we had ways to handle it.
Yeah.
So basically, how we would do it, and I'll tell some stories afterwards. But how we would do it is, we would basically on Wednesday night we would stay late to set up. Yep. And realistically, all throughout Wednesday I'd be setting up because I kind of had to like move fixtures around and put arrows on the floor and kind of direct people where I wanted you to go. And again, luckily we were large enough where it wasn't a huge problem, but no matter what you did, you could never form the line in such a way that people weren't just in the way while they were shopping or like on the walls or any kind of stuff.
Yeah, like even if you had arrows to snake it around one way,
it was just
difficult. Go the other way anyways.
People go the other way, they'd walk the wrong way. You'd be like, this is an exit only. You try to have somebody stationed at the door with like, here's a flyer, go follow the arrows.
That worked like about 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. And then but it just falls apart. But what I would always do is, so let's say we would open at, we'll just say midnight, right? Not midnight. No, because originally it was like 6 or something.
Originally, at least when I worked at a GameStop, we opened at like 6 a.m. But it was all day.
So let's say
to like 10 p.m.
Yeah. So let's say it was 6. So I'd be there at 5. Nothing really would have to be set up ahead of time. But like it was very Black Friday of like, you have 6 of these DSs or you have 4 of this thing. So I would write tickets like DS number 1, DS number 2, whatever. I'd go outside and there'd be a line down our thing, which was on busy ones, it would get pretty long. But I would literally just go to the first person in line and say, "What are you here for?" Because anyone who's lined up is there for something. They're not there to look around.
No.
They may be a little bit, but they're there for something specific. What are you here for? Well, I want this, and one of those DSs. I'd write it all on a ticket and give it to them. Show that at the counter. Next person, what do you want? I would literally give out tickets of limited stuff. And if they wanted a game like, I want a Halo, I'd write Halo on it too. Just so, if that's all you want, go to the counter. Because I have 2 people behind the counter. I'm going to be running on the floor, running to the back to grab systems because we couldn't keep them up front, and just trying to manage the lines and stuff. Well, if Kyle's ringing, Kyle, your job is to literally type shit in the computer and get the people the hell out of here.
Oh yeah.
I don't care about cards. I don't care about reserves. I don't like GPGs. Just ask it. Like, you know what I mean? Like the very bare minimum.
That's what those days were. It's just like, give these people
but the ticket system worked because, I'd get to the next person in line. What do you want? DSs. I'm sorry, I sold out. 6 people ahead of you wanted it. Hey, guess what? Now that person doesn't have to wait another hour, so they could leave if that's all they wanted. So ticket systems actually worked really well. Our Black Fridays always went pretty smooth. I mean, you would if we opened at 6 and we had a long line, maybe we're busy till 7. And then it just kind of dies for a little bit.
For a while because people at that point, like
those people got what they wanted.
Yeah,
right. But and then it would pick back up, and it would be busy all day because typically we'd have a buy 2 get 1. Everyone would work a long shift. I would either work a double or I would just work for 12 hours and then, whatever. Or I would work for a little bit, leave, go home, come back, whatever. Yeah. They weren't terrible. But there were a couple instances where there were, the first one was the first time that they were like, here's an hour sign, put it on your door. This is the hours for the holiday. And the Thanksgiving one said 6 to 10. And then we got a message like Tuesday of that week, you're actually going to open at 4. And we're like, why?
Oh, you're talking about when they changed it to be open.
When they started to do it. Yeah. So like, you're going to open it at 4. And we're like, why are we going to open it at 4? No one's going to know. Are you going to tell people? No. Yeah. So we're like, nobody's going to know. So then we went, so you know what I did? I went to the hour sign and I wrote a 4 and crossed out the 6.
Yeah.
No one came in. Yeah. No. We finally started to get people like 5:15, 5:30. And they're like, are you guys open? It's like, yeah, we've been open for an hour and a half. What do you mean? I thought it was 6. So did we. And then it became midnight. And that was when we really started to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, and the worst part was it would be midnight till 10 p.m. Like there was no closing in between. So you get the idiots who come at midnight, fine. And then you get the people who come at like 4 or whatever. Yeah, we're out of everything because we were open at midnight. And then you get the people who come at 6. Yeah, we're out of everything because we opened at midnight. But we would literally have blocks of time from midnight till quote unquote 10 a.m. when we normally open.
There was one year I signed up
hours and hours and hours and hours. There was one year probably like 4 hours. Nobody came in.
Yeah, like the first year I think we did it. I was like, sure, whatever. I'll work like I think for us it would have been like 11 to like 7 in the morning or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it, whatever. I'll work that shift. And then after that, because like it would be okay if it was a steady busyness all night, but that was the problem. It was not. You had your rush from like midnight to 2, and then it fucking died.
The problem I had with it was, run it like it's my business. Okay, if it's my business, I am making $0 for 4 hours, but I am paying 3 people to be here, including me, and I make the most. Does this make sense to you? And they would never understand that. They never understand it. And then they finally decided, hey, you know what? Fuck everybody that works here. We're opening on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And that was when everybody started to revolt and be like, this is just asinine. We get 2 days off a year and you're taking one of them away. And when you take one of them away, you're going to take the other one away. Now, it's funny because Game Crazy was open 365. And so it was just never a problem. And when it was like Thanksgiving Day, I was 22. This would be in 2006.
Yeah.
Nobody came in. Nobody shopped on Thanksgiving in 2006. But I would get paid 2.5 times pay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I told my boss, and the thing is, it was only an 8-hour shift because we were only open 10 to 6 or something weird, right? So I would tell my boss, like, I'm working all day Thanksgiving. I can do it by myself. He's like, okay. So I'd sit there. And my mom, we lived down the street. My mom would bring me Thanksgiving. I'd just fucking eat it while I was working. And I'd get paid. And I'd get paid at the time. It would have been, now remember, this is 16 years ago. So the pay rates obviously it's not going to sound as good. But as an assistant at the time, I'd get paid $26 an hour to help no one. Okay. Like, I don't care.
Why wouldn't you do that for 8 hours?
And then we were open on Christmas too. And then the best part about us being open on Christmas is one of my employees was Jewish. He's like, guess what? I don't care. Boom. I got something to work Christmas. And not a lot of people shop on Christmas either. It's mostly returns.
Yeah, Christmas, especially the day after Christmas.
But yeah, so Black Fridays, like, they didn't really start to get bad until they really started to fuck with our hours. And like,
I remember the last one I worked at GameStop. Nobody came.
They died.
At 6. Nobody came.
They died.
You and I opened together. We opened the doors and we stood there for an hour.
It was just nobody showed up because I realized I didn't need anybody.
You called the other store in town, and the manager there, he's like, "Yeah, we don't see anybody either," and we just stood there for like an hour. And then finally, someone wandered in, and then it started to get a little busy.
It got busy during normal hours.
Yeah.
My argument was always, if you want to make us be open on Thanksgiving, or if you really want like the midnight people, then how about this? How about we open at 10 on Thanksgiving night? Because to be honest, if you're celebrating Thanksgiving, you're probably done at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
We open 10 to 1, right? And then we close. And then we just close for 7 hours. Reopen at 8. And it's just a normal busy day. That way, the whole company for 7 hours does not have to pay 3 people to potentially not make that much money.
Yeah.
Or at least at certain stores, right? I don't know. They have no concept of how that worked. But
that's what killed it that one year, and that's why I told you after that one year, like, I can't do this overnight shit because I'm literally just sitting there falling asleep because nothing is happening.
Yeah, it was awful.
And I'm not an overnight person.
I just always thought, like, wouldn't it make more sense if we were just open for 16 hours, and then like we could have, with the amount of employees I have, we'd have so much more overlap. Like we always have 4 people working. Like they didn't trust you. Like we should have been able to make our own decisions, but
hey, it's retail.
Yeah.
All right. Next question comes to us from Randy from Red Bank, New Jersey. Hi guys, really enjoyed the show. I'm curious what you guys think would have happened to this generation of consoles if Microsoft didn't have Game Pass. Do you think we would even have a new generation of consoles from them, or do you think they would have thrown in the towel on things?
It's weird.
It's weird because like they had such a disastrous start to the Xbox One generation.
Yeah,
and it really fucking hurt.
It was bad at the. We were selling them on the front lines, and for every we would get asked about PlayStations
years later, we would still get asked about, like, does it have a check-in system? Does it have to be online all the time? Like that, the amount of damage that did is staggering.
Well, I don't want an Xbox because you have to be online all the time, and people would say we'd have to be like, you don't. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
But like we would sell for every one Xbox, we'd sell 5 or 6 PlayStations. So they were in a lot of trouble. They were in a lot of trouble.
And the thing is, like, we all at the store collectively bought an Xbox first. I mean, you got both systems because you were the store manager,
but I didn't.
But like, even when that system came out, like in the beginning, it was a fucking disaster of the system. Like the party system didn't work. Like
the UI didn't work.
The UI was like this. It was just black with like a couple bars. Like it just
slow.
Everything about it. I think there was a period of time where we went and used the 360 for voice chat.
We did,
but we're playing the Xbox One because that's how bad the party system was. And it took months of like. Because you have to think, like, before that system came out, they had all that stuff set up, and they had to strip it all out before it launched, and it was not ready to launch in such a way. So, because it was really made to do all that stuff. And they had really, in the last hour, be like, nope, we have to take it all out.
The only things that really kept that system alive were, like, in the beginning, it was the fact that Xbox Live worked.
Yeah.
And it was, you could play games online, and you had to pay for it, but it worked. And, PlayStation 4, even in the beginning, wasn't super good. Like, it was a mess, and it was that. So Xbox Live definitely helped. And then Game Pass, I mean, you could probably make a decent argument that Game Pass really kind of saved them, and really is a reason that they're still relevant. I don't think they'd go away.
I don't either.
I don't know what it would take for them to give up. We've talked about it before. Like, I could see them giving up. I could see them finally being like, screw it. It's all PC stuff now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if
they're also in the position now where like they don't care as much about if they sell you a system. They care about
but that's because of Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like, the pivot to Game Pass or to build Game Pass is, like I said, it's probably the reason it's still relevant.
Game Pass is like the logical version of what they wanted the system to be, though. If you think about it, though.
Yeah, they always wanted it to be a store. Yeah, right. They always wanted it to be a store. They always wanted it, like, they used to push hard for, like, you could buy movies and TV and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and, like, you could still do it, but they've significantly backed off on that. Like, that's not a selling point anymore.
No,
but because remember the whole point of the Xbox One and why it was called that is because it was supposed to be the all-in-one system. The all-in-one system. It was everything you needed. But
they didn't HDMI input.
Right, but yeah, exactly. You can run your cable box through it. Like, TV is an app on here. But they didn't. But yeah, they did not focus on that at the start, and they focused more on really bad communication and almost killing themselves. Like, Game Pass saved them. I would argue.
Absolutely.
Without it, they'd be a distant number 3. With it, they're just a solid number 3.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like Nintendo. I mean, obviously, it's really killed it.
Nintendo's its own thing. Like,
it is. Well, think about how much that
really run Netflix.
I mean, I would argue that there's some Switch games that can barely run because of the hardware at this point.
Well, there's that too, but
not first party.
That's not the point. But that's not the point. Like, that's not the point of it. But I think it might be different with Game Pass if Game Pass didn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, I can vouch and say that's the only reason I have the Xbox.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a selling point. Like, it's a selling point. Yeah. Well, it's the one they use now. They don't really even talk about anything else. Like, yeah, here's the specs of the system, but like, we don't care if you ever buy a physical game. We don't care.
You think about it, like when I watch their press conferences now, like E3, whatever we want to call it at this point. Game Pass? That's the reason I watch it. It's not what's the next Microsoft game. It's what games are going to be on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Like, what games do I not have to pay for this year because I pay for Game Pass? Right. Like, remember last year it was like, I don't have to pay for Back 4 Blood because it's on Game Pass. Right. That's pretty cool.
And that's just, remember, Go ahead.
Oh,
I was going to say, I saved $20 by not buying House Flipper because it was on Game Pass the next day.
You were ready to buy it, and then I texted you. It was like, hey, it's on Game Pass today.
I was like, oh, shit, okay.
But and Game Pass is also the reason why, like, PlayStation's new thing is glaringly not great. Like, it's not even close. Like, does it have games on there I want to play? Sure, but it's not anywhere near what Game Pass is.
It's not. Like, I mean, I'll say, like, there are a lot more quality games on the PlayStation service than I thought there would be. Right. It's more relevant than I thought it was going to be.
But if God of War isn't on it, and a remake of a game that was already remastered isn't on it day one,
how is Last of Us Part 1 not a selling point of that service?
And baseball is still not on it. Yeah. It's been 5 months. You can put it on
the competitor.
Right. Like, it's been 5 months. You can put it
baseball.
on.
People aren't rushing to store to buy that now.
Like, I don't even think, you know what the weird thing is? I don't even think the old ones are.
Oh, like ML, yeah.
Like 21.
21, 20.
Man, that's weird. If 21 is not on there, what are they doing?
Well, I don't get that. Because again, MLB 21, I think they might have removed that from Game Pass because 22's on
there. They did. Like, they did when 22 came out.
Your literal direct competition has one of your, like, previously first-party exclusive games.
I'm looking it up because if that's not on there, that makes no sense at all.
I
cannot fathom.
PlayStation's not in this room, so I can't check that. But
it is not on there.
That's fucked up.
That is a game that literally, I guarantee, makes you no money right now, and it will never again. God, they're idiots.
I don't understand what they're doing with that. I can get first party, obviously their first party, they have kind of a prestige with it.
I understand.
They know their games are going to sell. Even the Last of Us remake, as much as we make fun of it, will sell copies.
Right.
Well, of course.
But
like I said, I understand it. I understand it. I just think it's dumb.
It is.
Very.
So, but to go back to the Game Pass thing, I mean, I still think Microsoft would have had a system this generation. What the system would have been, I mean, it probably still would have been a Series X. But I also would argue that if there wasn't a Game Pass, you probably would have only seen the Series X. I don't think you would have seen the Series S.
There wouldn't be digital systems.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but Game Pass 100% save them. So, let's see. Next email we have is Billy from Salem, Illinois. Hi guys, love the last episode with the differences between Game Crazy and GameStop. I was a huge supporter of Game Crazy during its short lifespan and bought all of my games there at the time, as well as a few systems. The people at my local Game Crazy were always awesome and super friendly. You could actually trust a game recommendation from an employee here, and the tournaments brought a local community of gamers together in a way I haven't seen since. While I am still a gamer today, I buy most of my games online through Amazon or digitally because I just can't stand how corporate GameStop feels in comparison. I tried to use GameStop for about a year after my Game Crazy closed. It just wasn't the same. My question for Dan is: did you get to take any good relics home from that store? Thanks. And I mean, he means Game Crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I just want to thank Billy for being a loyal Game Crazy supporter. I'm happy you lived close enough to one that you could enjoy it. I'm glad that you remember tournaments as fondly as I do, just because they were super fun and something that nobody else did. And I mean, at GameStop we would have Nintendo would kind of do some stuff, but it wasn't the same. It wasn't just a chill hangout environment. For as much as I hated people hanging out at GameStop, I did not mind it at Game Crazy. Did I take any good relics home from this store? The thing is I did help. I worked there till the day it closed, and we went through the typical, you'll see it at a lot of places you go where it's close out 30% this week, and then next week could be 40, just as a liquidation, just try to get rid of stuff. There wasn't really anything cool I could really take, but we did hide games in the back under our shelving unit until we hit 70, until we hit 80% off. Yeah. Then I bought but it was funny too, because the way liquidations work is it's actually a separate company that comes in and does it. And they kind of check in on you every so good. The guy who handled it was super cool for us, but he caught another store trying to hide stuff, and you get bitched at because they're no, you got to make as much money as we can because we get the money from this. But we hit it pretty well because I basically had a shelving unit, it had a drop thing in it. I lifted it up from underneath. I tipped it back and lifted it up, and there was cavity in it. So even if you looked, you couldn't, unless you knew how to get to it, you could not find it. So we hit a shitload of stuff under there. I'm talking tons of GameCube, tons of Wii. I bought probably 40 to 50 games at 80% off.
Because this would have been 2009.
This was 2009. But I bought probably 40 to 50 games at 80% off. I think I paid $120 for everything I bought. Not even. And it was just, we all did. We all bought a shitload of stuff. That was pretty good. So I got a ton of stuff for a hell of a lot cheaper than I probably should have. Relics, though, it was tough. There wasn't really much to take because we were actively trying to sell everything. A cool story is we had all those glass cases that lined the cash wrap and stuff. You know him, Kyle, but my comic book guy bought all of those, which was cool to see them. He bought all of them, and that was when he was in his old location.
Okay.
And then he came in and but that was kind of cool because I knew they went to somebody I knew, and it was cool I can go see him anytime I want. I could still go to that guy's store now, and he still has it.
Yeah, you would still have it.
So that was kind of fun. The one thing I always wanted, and there was never a way to get it, and I always was if this happens, I'm gonna do it. Was I really, really fucking wanted the Game Crazy Flame neon sign that was outside, like up on the building, because it's just a thing that goes over a light. It's not even like a thing. It's just like a thing that goes over a light, because they left that on the building until even long after the Hollywood closed. I mean, you even know that it was up there all the time. It was just never gone.
How much longer was Hollywood open after?
Couple more years. Really? Because but it's funny because I actually met my wife because she worked at Hollywood, and then she ran that store till it closed, and I helped her tear that down. We did get a relic out of that. At Hollywood, they used to have TVs that would play movies, and then they would have signs on the walls that would have like quotes and stuff on them.
Yeah.
And we actually, I got one of those. We got the Aladdin one of those, and it's hanging up in my garage, which is kind of cool. I mean, I didn't get really to take a relic at the end. I did take over the years. I always took like promo posters, stand-ups.
I mean, at the end of the day, you have the most important relic of any of these stores, which is the Funko.
I have the Funko Land sign, which is the most important of anything.
It's the most important.
But I have a Dead or Alive 4 stand-up that's still in the box. I have a Final Fantasy 12 stand-up that's still in the box.
Oh.
I have a lot of old promo items from Game Crazy that were displays or signs or posters. Nintendo used to make really good quality, like square ones that were on this really shitty tower that we had to like pop them off and pop them on every time. But they were like a thick plastic. You might remember, Kyle, like remember the old Nintendo things we had above each category, the big square thing? They were made out of that kind of thing. Okay. So they last forever.
They're pretty thick, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got like every Final Fantasy one for all the Game Boy Advance releases of those, which are cool.
Okay. Oh, nice.
I have an original Dead Rising 1 poster from when that came out. Next time you come over, Kyle, I'll dig it out because I know where all the stuff
I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's cool. Because we used to get, like, that was really cool. Like, we would get posters, poster size of, like, coming soon stuff, like every one that would come out. And, like, I would just, if it was a cool one, when we were done, because we had these two hanging things above the cash wrap. We'd slide one of them in, and then we had a couple other ones. So when we were changing,
he also got like completely different promo items. Like I remember when I learned years later about the Resident Evil 5 sand globe, which I now have.
The sand globe, I got that.
That's incredible to me. I never even knew that was a thing.
Somehow we would get really cool promo items. One of the coolest ones I still have that I found a couple years ago. It was for Super Mario Advance 4, which is Mario Brothers 3, and it is a plush Mario and a plush Yoshi. And they came in a little package, and it's got the little like folding tag that you would staple, like when we put accessories in bags, right? Like the thing you put on top, and it just says like promo item, Game Crazy exclusive and stuff on it. And I never opened it, so that's kind of really cool to have.
That's a good one.
A lot of times I would take any like little things that would say like coming soon if it was a game I really liked, because it would be like in the font of the game. I would repurpose a lot of that stuff at the stores. Like if we had a cool stand-up, like I remember we had another one that was for Mario Advance, that same game, but it had like a pop-out like Mario, like the flying image of him on the front of the box, right? So when we were gonna get rid of the stand-up, like I had no place to put it, so I took him off and I just taped him up on the high wall because we had like those soffit drop ceiling things.
Sure.
We just had places to put stuff, so I would just line that with all those. It was really cool. What's another stand-up I have that you'll appreciate, Cal? Time Splitters 2. I have just the guy from the front of it because I didn't have a place to put the whole thing, but I got him off of it. Yeah, like lots of cool stuff. We had window clings, those big window clings on the outside. Sometimes if it was one I really liked, oops, we didn't get it, or oops, it got destroyed, and I took it home. I don't have a way to display them, but I have. They're huge, like they're the size of a store window. But I have like an Ultimate Spider-Man one when that game came out.
Okay.
So it's got Ultimate Spider-Man, like cool. The logo kind of going up at an angle, and it's like Spider-Man on top and Venom on the bottom.
But that thing's huge. Like
it's huge. I don't really have a wall in my house I'd like to find a way to hang it up because it's bitching. Yeah. I don't know where it would go. But yeah, the one thing I never got was the flame thing. I drove past it all the time, and I was always like, if I drive past it one day and it's not up there, I'm pulling over and I'm going to look in the dumpster and just see. And whatever it was, I missed it. And that would have been such a fucking cool thing to have from that store.
I actually found, I recently had to, my car had like transmission problems. It's 20-year-old car, so I decided just to sell it. to a junkyard. They came to pick it up the other day, but I had to clean out the trunk, which I haven't. I think I looked in the trunk once when I moved last year, but like I don't really use the trunk of that car. I had in there, but unfortunately it had gotten warped and stuff, probably from heat stuff in there for years and years. I had the Arkham Knight stand.
Oh God, you still had that one?
I still had it, yeah, because I had taken both. I had taken 2015. I had taken both of them. I gave one of them to my girlfriend. She still has it. It's in her basement, but I had forgotten I had taken both of them. And I opened that up. Was like,
it was in your car for 7 years.
It was in my car for 7 years because I don't use my trunk. And I'm like, wow, holy shit! And then it was so warped and bad, probably from heat and extreme weather conditions. So that unfortunately had to get thrown in the trash, but because I had to completely clean that car out for them to take it. So the other thing I was gonna add in here, as you talk about like relics and stuff, obviously, I don't have any relics, but this is a good, since you're talking about like hiding stuff. Yeah. At the end, when I used to work at Target, we came up with a good scam because when we would get strategy guides, if any strategy guide had like a rip or a tear, we could basically penny it out, and then we were able to buy them. Or whatever version Target's paying. I don't think it was a penny. It may have been like 10 cents or something, right? So we came up with a thing, like, when I mean tear, I mean like the back cover was torn over, right? Right. We started doing the scam, and we did it for like 6 months where like we'd make like a little tear at the top, and then we'd like slap those stickers on, because I was good friends at the time with the buddy that did like the pricing for the electronics department. So like that era, I have a ton of strategy guides because we did that.
Strategy guides. That was the Wild West for a while, man, because
it was.
You'd be told to destroy them, and they'd be a penny, and then I'll destroy them into my car. Absolutely.
My favorite was after they told us we were supposed to destroy them, and then we'd go to like the local half-price books, and you'd just see walls of like a specific game's guide, and you'd be like, "Well, I wonder who traded these."
I knew who it was. That was the one guy who managed the first store in the other town that closed. Okay. We knew it. We knew it for a fact because like everything lined up with the time, and he would always complain about something about that place and like the money and stuff. But like that was at a time where like they were really cracking down on that stuff, because remember they got to the point where like they were hard on guides.
They were hard, like firing people over.
One other really good strategy guide story from Game Crazy, real quick. We took strategy guides in trade. We gave $1. We gave $1 for whatever guide it was. It was $1. Didn't matter. And we know what we sold them for? $3.
$3.
Do you know how many fucking incredible strategy guides I got for $3?
Well, you have the bookshelf of strategy guides. I don't have that many.
I have a couple hundred.
It's fucking absurd.
That's so
it's
crazy.
Good. There's some really, really good ones in there. But like if it was a guide for a game I had, $3, absolutely. But people would bring in Final Fantasy guides. Yeah, we'll give you $1. Okay, that's mine now. I'd use it to upgrade my guides that were in bad shape. Pokemon guides would give you $1, and then I'd buy it for $3. Weird offshoot RPG shit. That's how I got. It got to a point where we stopped taking them, and this guy came in with a Ziploc bag full, and it was just like this thick, but it wasn't strategy guides. It was like Nintendo, how to win at Nintendo. Top Secret. You remember those books? Okay. Top Secret.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, there's some good ones in here. And I said, we don't take guides anymore. He's like, you know what? I mean, I don't want them. So he just left them there. I'm like, hell yeah. I reach into the middle, just to see, pull out one. A completely pristine Final Fantasy 1 Nintendo Power Strategy Guide. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, that's
great. It was awesome.
That's great.
I love strategy.
That's so dope.
The only, the other thing I was going to mention, only because I'm thinking of it at the end, the only other fucked up thing I did, and this was when I was at Target, is the last week I was there, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, Pro Evolution Soccer 2008 came out. And my buddy's like, dude, it's your last week at Target. You should sell this to me for like half off. I'm like, I can't fucking do that. He's like, just do it. It's your last week. Like, nobody's going to know. And I'm like, all right. So like, I go in. We get like one copy of this game because it's not even FIFA, dude. It's Pro Evolution.
Like, right. Yeah.
Years, right. But it was arguably the better of the two at the time. Anyways, so I went in and like I changed the price of it to like, I think it was $30 or something. So I did it half off, had him come and buy it. Literally like 5 minutes after I sell it, I did like loss prevention dude comes rolling out. He's like, you sell a game for like half off and blah blah. I'm just like, yeah, it was damaged. And he's like, oh, he's like, did somebody tell you? And I just told him, like, there's one manager that always approves shit. I'm like, oh yeah, Pete, whatever. He said it was cool. He's like, oh, okay. And I just totally got away with that. And then I went over to his house like after we just played Pro Evolution 2008 for a while. So that was the last thing I did when I was at Target, because that job, especially at the end, like I'm not going to get into the logistics, but that job pissed me off at the end. So I was like, whatever. Like he kept egging me the whole week. He's like, dude, just do it. And I'm like, all right, fine. Like come on in at this time. I'm here. Let's make this Pro Evolution happen. So, all right, next email actually is a game recommendation. Claire from Jupiter, Florida. Hi guys, I have a game recommendation specifically for Kyle since he says he loves horror games. I do. Have you played Tormented Souls? It's a great throwback to tank control horror games. I picked it up on the recent Steam Summer Sale and I really enjoyed it. I just wanted to share thanks. Well, Claire, I will tell you, I own this game. I have not played it yet. I bought it on one of the sales last fall. When did it come out? I think it was last fall. So this was like spring. I do have it. I am going to play it at some point. I'm actually saving it for the October season. I play a bunch on my YouTube channel. I usually stream a bunch of horror games. In October, it's like the only one thing I do any streaming of is horror games. So that is actually one of the games I'm going to take a look at. So I will be playing Tormented Souls, but I do appreciate the recommendation. As you know, I love anything and everything horror. So next email comes from Colin from Minneapolis, Minnesota. He says, hi guys, really been enjoying the show. My question is more for Dan and Kyle. Have either of you ever considered opening your own video game store? With the used game market booming, and hearing you guys week after week talk passionately about Gamestop and Green Crazy, it seems like it would be a perfect fit. Where I live, we actually have several mom and pop video game stores as well as a video rental store. Wow.
Like, that's awesome.
I would love that. We'll get into that in a second, but I don't think it's viable. Like, would I like to? And also, like, would I want to run a retail store now? Probably not. Not in a post-pandemic world.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think about it. I think about it a lot because obviously I've got a lot of experience. 2 different places. I've opened and closed multiple stores.
Yeah.
Like, I know how all of it works. I know how trading works. I know how literally every facet of it could possibly work. Mm-hmm. I really do want, like, I think about it a lot. Like I could, but like, I think the problem would be simply getting inventory at a price I knew I could sell it with at.
Okay.
Like before, like you'd have to have an inventory before a store open. Otherwise it's pointless.
You have to.
And it'd have to be more than video. Obviously it'd have to be like collectibles and VHS tapes and all this other kind of stuff. Like all the kind of stuff that's hot. Like everything's hot. We know that.
Yeah.
I mean, Matt does like pops and stuff. So he knows what that kind of stuff is like. But getting an inventory around here would be difficult just because
it's difficult.
We've talked about it before. Like this area is dry. Like it is very dry. And I say that knowing that there are still idiots who trade stuff in at half price books. Like, cause I see it from time to time.
We see it.
Yeah. And it's frustrating because I know they're getting ripped off. Like part of running one of those stores is like, you have to be fair, but not too fair with what you do.
Because
so you kind of have to walk the line because then you're not making any money and people aren't going to trade stuff. But I know like people trading in games at half price that they're selling for $300 are getting maybe 20. You know, because I know it firsthand from like bringing things in there that I've always been like that should be worth more. Like not that I care that much, but like that doesn't seem right. And again, half price works on a whoever the fuck is doing it that kind of a day system.
It does, their system's really
yeah. So like I'd love to do it, but getting the capital, the capital to buy enough to do it is the role. If I had $50,000 to spend to open a store, sure, I could pull it off. But getting the capital for that is difficult, and getting the inventory is difficult. And then it becomes
you're not even just like what's your location.
Well, and not even that. And that's not that hard considering everything's fucking empty. But
true.
But then it becomes like if that's what you're gonna do, like, and you're committing to like this is my job. This is how I provide for my family, then it's you're hustling every day, man. Like you have to be buying stuff every day, looking for stuff every day, driving everywhere.
That's the harder part of it.
It's a commitment. It's a commitment because you can't just sit there and wait for people to bring stuff in. I worked at a GameStop. There's a lot of days people just don't bring anything in. Then it becomes, because a lot of people that are just bringing stuff in are bringing you trash, busted discs. Like, then you'd have to be like, I mean, here's 3 copies of Madden. Like, and then you got to get into other stuff. Like, you'd have to have an online presence.
You'd have to have an online store.
You'd have to invest in a disc resurfacer, like a good one.
Absolutely.
And Game Crazy, that was another thing I thought it was different. We had one, and we could actually buff discs for a price, which was cool because I've seen those things take absolute garbage and make them work.
I had it done with a CD once.
Yeah, so. Like a CDs or PS2 or Xbox games works great. It's an investment. I think if I had the money, sure, but I can't.
I think the bigger thing isn't like. I was gonna say, I think the bigger thing, at least for me, wouldn't be the money aspect. But if we had the money to do it, that's whatever. It's the time investment because it's not like you get to open the store and then have 8 employees do everything for you. You sit back. No, you have to be out there.
You're running the store
24/7.
You could maybe hire 1 or 2 people. But then again, you'd always have to be out going picking stuff up, making deals, checking Facebook Marketplace every day. Like, Facebook Marketplace up here.
It's how it is. So that's part of it. I look at it and I'm like, I'm not interested. So
that's what I do right now. When I started deciding to sell pops just in general online, like I find myself on Facebook Marketplace all day long, just kind of scanning to see who's going to sell it for a decent price to where I can make a decent return back on what I'm trying to get. Like, who's not selling me a Goku for $300 when I'm only going to get 301 out of it? You know what I mean? Like, it's just not worth it.
I looked it up online, and this is so rare. And like, the other problem is my Facebook Marketplace in my area. It's the same people over and over again selling the same overpriced 64 games. Yeah. And that's all there is. Yeah. So, it's a lot. And like flea markets up here are bad for it. Like, I don't know.
The only flea market I've ever had any luck in is the all night flea market.
Right. You've had luck there, but like,
not fucking care.
The main one around here, you know which one I'm talking about. The King County one. Like, that's awful. Yep.
It's terrible. Yeah.
There's like 1 or 2 people that have some stuff. It's all,
but they know what they have.
Yeah, but it's a lot of it's beat to shit, and they know what they have. And even if it's beat to shit, they price it at full value.
Yep.
Like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is sun faded. It's worth half of that, if that. So, I'd love to do it. I'll happily do it for all of you listeners if you just send me all of your stuff.
Just send me all your stuff.
I will sell it.
We'll do it.
It's no problem. I'll get a P.O. box up and running. You say the word.
We'll have a section of it that'll just be all VHS tapes.
Yeah. That way I don't have to collect them. I can just display them and sell them.
I literally am on the verge of that, starting that every day.
No, I keep talking you off
YouTube videos, and you keep talking about.
I won't let you do it.
I can do this thing in my basement where I can make a
that's a downward spiral, bro.
I won't let you do it.
It's a bad spiral. I have 2 VHS tapes behind me. So, and that's like all I have a Batman 89 too somewhere, but that's all I have.
I think I've got some Jackie Chan ones somewhere, and that's about it.
Yeah. I've got Jackie Chan. My wife has prevented me doing that.
Yeah. It's good. Good for her because it's
every time I go into half price, that's the worst because it's so cheap.
Yeah.
And they're in pretty decent condition. You look, you're like, I can just start this right now, like $30. I'd have 30 of these.
I know. I was at a flea market, and this guy had rows and rows and rows of all good ones, and I was like, I need to leave. Like now.
Plus, my girlfriend has a very specific vision for remodeling our basement, and video store is not part of that.
Well,
vision.
that's what the master bedroom's for.
As she reminded me the other day when I was showing her some videos on YouTube, like, look at this, look at that. She's like, yeah, that doesn't go with the feet before.
Yeah, and that's what the master bedroom's for, man.
But it could, yeah. There you go.
Don't need to sleep in here.
Our final email of the week comes from Brad from Westchester, Pennsylvania. He says, "Hi guys, just curious, in all your years working video game retail, have you ever caught anyone stealing, either customer or employee? If so, what did you do?" Now, I know and I'll let Dan talk about it because while I was not present when that story went down, because I know you wrote it in our document.
Yeah.
I very, very much know that story.
Yeah.
So,
do you have anyone? Did you ever catch anyone?
I'm trying to remember, and like I'm trying to remember specifically with a former employee we worked with. You know exactly who I'm talking about, another key holder.
Yeah.
Who we both very much respect today. The hero.
The hero.
I remember him throwing people out of the store, but never for stealing. It was always for like fucking around at one of the interactives or something.
Yeah.
It was never like, I'm trying to think like,
well,
did I find remnants of something being stolen later?
Yeah,
like
shit got stolen all the time. Yeah.
Like we'd find like somebody take a razor blade, open one of those controllers or something.
Yeah.
So
you want to know a big security flaw? Here's a big security flaw for GameStop for all you listeners out there. Use this information how you will. They all use the same magnetic locking hooks.
Yeah.
It's all the same. You swipe one of those magnets, you swiped everything, man.
Yeah.
Like they would they come in teams, 3 or 4 people. 2 of them distract you. One of them goes to the wall, and they just start clicking the thing open. And like they're tricky to work, even if you know how they work, because sometimes they just don't want to open. But sure enough, man, I could probably go in if I had one of those magnets. I'd be a millionaire if I went to some of these games.
The only thing I remember still to this day, it wasn't stealing in the sense of a product out of the store, but it was one of those credit card scams where I fucking knew it was a credit card scam. But unfortunately, the other key holder at the time was like, no, it's not a credit card scam. And I just sat there, I'm like,
fake credit cards.
Fuck it, man. I was like, all right, fuck it, man. If you really want to do this, this is on you. And I remember texting you, be like, this is the thing that's happening right now. Like, I told this other key holder, like, this is a scam because there's no way these 2 ladies are in here to buy 2 PS4s and 2 Xbox Ones. And like,
they were always the same.
Different headsets. Yeah. Like, you can
high ticket items. And then their card wouldn't run the first time, or it would feel funny.
They'd have you run it the second time.
Try to run it manually. That was always good. You need to run it manually. You can't do that. What? You can't do that. Yeah. And then they'd be like, "Oh, I got cash in the car," and then they would leave. Like those people sucked, and you could tell who they were
before too.
Yeah, you could tell who they were when they walked in.
Yeah, I could tell, and like otherwise, like, or if it was a group of them that was like running a scam like in your district. You'd get calls from other stores like, "Hey, be on the lookout for this," and then they'd come in, and you do the same thing. Like,
there's all kinds of scams. Yeah, people would run, but in terms of like literally stolen, I've got a good customer one and a good employee one. So we'll do the customer one first. Working at store as an assistant before I worked at my store, and 3DS had been out for a little bit, probably not too long.
Sure.
And the way that store worked is we had counter to the side, and we had 3DSs on the counter behind us, and there were 2 of us working, and the girl I was working with was helping somebody on the floor, like talking over by a wall or something, and I had to run in the back to get something for somebody else. So I walked straight to the back. The store's not very long. I walked to the back, in a drawer back there trying to get something, because this is a store that had a closet back room, and I look up and the CCTV is right in front of me, and I see this dude fucking walk behind the counter as little as possible, stretch his arm out as far as he can, grab a system, and then do the old under the coat thing, like up into his armpit.
Yeah.
And I literally smiled to myself because I was like, gotcha. Walk out there, walk directly. I make a beeline for this guy because he hasn't moved yet, because he doesn't want to make a scene, so that he's like walking out and cutting off somebody or something else, because there were a lot of people in the store. I walk straight up to the guy and I look at him. I say, "Would you like me to hold that for you?" And he kind of stares at me, and I said, and I was like, "Would you like me to hold that 3DS for you?" And he goes, yeah, man, sure." He hands it to me, does a little thing out of his thing. He hands it to me. And I said, "I'll put it right up there behind the counter." And I put it where he had taken it from. And he goes, "Oh, I'm just going to run out. I'm going to run out to my car and get my wallet." And he said, "Okay." And he walked out the door. And I was like, boom. I did like a Tiger Woods like fist pump. I'm like, boom, got him, got him. And I immediately pick up the phone, call the other store down the street. I'm like, "Hey, there's going to be a guy that's coming in probably about 10 minutes. He's wearing a black and yellow jacket, blah, 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 whatever." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Just trust me." Hang up the phone. Get a phone call 20 minutes later. Yeah, he's here right now. Yeah, follow him. So he's going around trying to do it. But that was one of the best ones because God, it was so good. I'd look up and just watch him stealing on that CCTV, laugh my ass off. It was so good. And then the employee one. This was a bitch because
it was a bitch. It also was a bummer because this was a person that we trusted.
Bummer. We trusted him, and now I don't anymore. No. And so it starts with this woman and her son come in, and they want to buy something, and they want to use credit they have. Fine, whatever. But they give me their receipt and not a card that has credit on it. It's important to note at GameStop, credit is on a card. If you lose the card, it's gone. Think of it like you're dropping a $20 bill. It's your fault. Too bad. People don't understand this. So she hands me the receipt and I said, well, I need the card because the card has a number on the back I need. And she's like, well, you can't do anything for us. It says we have, X amount of dollars. I'm like, I really, really can't.
It wasn't even a lot of money too, right? It wasn't like
$33, something like that. I'm like, I mean, nobody else was in the store and the receipt was fairly recent. And I'm like, all right, give me a minute. Let me see what I can do. Because there's ways around this. I could get that. The plan was to get corporate to move it to a new card because I have the number of the card because it's on the receipt. And corporate can do that kind of stuff if you put up.
You just don't have the pin from the card.
I don't have the pin, but let's get corporate to move it to a new card. Fine. Call up corporate. Start going through it. Eventually, it gets to a point where the corporate guy tells me, "Okay, that card has zero balance on it," and I'm like, "Oh shit!" So that means dropped it and somebody used it. So I go up to the lady and I said, "Yeah, so it looks like it's got zero balance on it. I think you must have lost it and somebody must have found it and used it." And she started to get real bummed. And then I had right as I'm about to hang up the phone, I had this thought in my head. I'm like, can you see who the last person that used that card was? And the corporate person was like, yeah, give me a second. Because I want to make sure it wasn't them. Like maybe trying to scam me just to see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks like it was used under this specific account. And then he says the name. And I go, oh no, because it was the name of an employee who worked at the other store in the town.
Damn. Yeah.
And I went, are you sure? He goes, yeah, we used this day and they bought this, and this. And I'm like, okay. I said, do you have like a transaction? I got like the transaction ID and stuff for that. I wrote it down. I kind of put it to the side. Went back to helping the lady and I told her, I'm like, I don't remember what I did something. I don't think I gave her the $30, but I probably gave her a discount. I don't know what I did. Like I know I did something. I don't know what it was, but that's not important anymore. Whatever. So they pack it up. Well, they pack it up and they leave and like technically you lost the card, so technically I don't have to do anything. Whatever. So you weren't working, right? I think it was our other.
I think at this point I was coming into close.
Okay.
And
somebody else was there.
Key holder was there. Yeah. Another former key holder.
Yeah, and I think I told him.
And you were like, you told me you're like, I have to go in the back. I have to make a phone call. I'll tell you what's going on later.
Right. Like, okay. So I went in the back and I called the other store and I got the manager, who I'm still friends with to this day. Very good person.
Yes.
And I said, I have some bad news for you. And she was like, what? And I said, you're going to have to fire so-and-so. And she was like, why? So I explained the whole thing to her, and it's dead silent on the phone. And then she just kind of like pauses and she goes, I'm going to have to fire him. And I said, yep.
Yeah.
So what had happened was this person had gotten the credit at their store and left the card on the counter. And then whoever did it, or somebody found it later, saw it had money on it, and the policy, like, there's no policy for that. There's not a rule for that. What happened is
the person that actually took the card and used it is not the person that found it. The person that found it
put it in the safe, which is what you would do.
That's basically what we were told to do. Yeah, because I'd had to do that before.
Yeah, it wasn't even a rule. It was just like that's kind of what you did in case somebody came back. Like, because in
worst case scenario, they came right back and then they had to wait 10 minutes for the safe to
open it up.
But whatever, it's in a safe spot.
Hey, speaking of which, did I take any relics from? Oh no, that wasn't from Game Crazy, but I took the safe from GameStop.
You have the safe?
I have the safe. They tried to make me.
That's good.
They tried to make me pay $10. They tried to make me pay $10 for it, and I said no way. So I took the door off and put it in my car and took the safe. So I have the safe in my house.
That's crazy.
So just in case anybody's wondering, it'll take you 10 minutes to get into it. So she and I talked some more, and then I found out that basically he had, for whatever reason, taken it out of the safe, scanned it, saw it had money on it, and then just fucking used it. And it was just like
didn't use it at their store though. They went to
they went to
try and be sneaky about it.
The other store in the other city. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Not the one I used to work at, the other one before it closed. Yeah. And used it there. And then eventually she brought him in, sat him down, talked about it, and sure enough, he was like, yeah. And they were like, you're done, and you're lucky that's all it is. Kind of a thing. Like, I don't think anything ever happened.
They probably made that person pay back the $30.
At most, I think that's what happened. Yeah. But that was kind of it. And then he was blackballed and stuff. So it's like,
oh yeah,
I was just a dumb move. Like, don't do shit like that. Like he was younger. He's just a dumb, stupid.
For
dumb
$30,
thing to do. Like for $30.
Yeah, it was even a lot of money. And like, the funny thing about it is, we obviously from Dan calling and finding out, like they told us what the person had bought, and like it was very dumb shit. It was like Blu-ray movies or something.
No, it was Blu-rays. Remember,
it was Blu-rays because there was a brief like 6-month period. We, for whatever reason, were selling used Blu-rays. We used it to buy 3 of those, and I'm like,
probably because GameStop bought a boatload of them at $1 a piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really dumb. We were all really pissed off and just like upset.
Yeah,
because it's like, come on, man.
This person we trusted, and like it was, somebody this person would come in and hang out.
At this point in my life, I just kind of chalk it up to like, everybody makes dumbass decisions, and that was just his.
Oh yeah.
And so there's your pro tip, kids. Don't fucking steal from the place you work at. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially when there's cameras.
Or it's traceable because it's tied to a fucking card number.
I mean, I don't even think that manager, like, she probably didn't even have to look at the camera footage because we traced everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I had proof.
Yeah. You could have grabbed that footage, but
obviously, did I go? The only reason it got found out was I went above and beyond for a customer. My bad. But it was probably better that we did because it would have, it would have just escalated. It would have become game.
Yeah, if that person would have gotten away with it, then what would
all kinds of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, like customers steal, people steal. Sometimes you catch them.
That's what it is.
And for everyone, you know what? You know who I never caught? The person who stole the fucking Leapster stuff from our store. That was a weird one.
I forgot we had that stuff.
We had Leapster for a while because there was a Toys R Us across the street, and then we were one of the stores that was obligated to peddle the Leapster shit. And then when my inventory came around, our number one loss category was fucking Leapster, and I was
our inventory,
so pissed off.
Like our like shrink level was always absurdly low.
Yeah, there was one year we got it under $100 for an entire year, which was incredible.
I think that was the best in the district.
We were number one multiple times. Every time we'd go to that stupid, I'd go to conference, I'd get a stupid ribbon that would say it. But that was like pride and joy for me. That year was off a couple hundred because somebody stole a whole bunch of Leapster.
The Leapster shit, yeah.
My God! And then after that point, after that happened, I was finally able to just ship all of it out because I was like, I don't want this shit anymore.
No.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that wraps up the emails we have. As always, you can always email us in your, GameStop questions, recommendations. Again, I'm gonna bang the drum on it. Yeah, I'm gonna bang the drum of it because I really want to know. There has to be someone out there that listens to this podcast because we get a lot of emails now that has worked or worked in a store that is in an SL2 situation, and I just want to know.
Oh, there's plenty of current ones. I would like to know from your perspective how much of a shit show it is.
Yeah, because it has to be just tremendously awful. So, but you can send in all those things to podcast572@gmail.com. Otherwise, we will be back in 2 weeks to talk about all this stuff once again. I'll give you a little teaser. I'll be able to talk about Saints Row because that's the next thing I'm getting.
I'm excited to hear about that.
To play Saints Row. So,
yeah. I think I'm gonna start. I think I'm gonna start Persona 5 Royal too.
Royal, okay.
I want to play.
You're not gonna wait for the PS5 version.
I'm not. No, I own it already.
It's the same game. Like, what is it gonna be? Like, yeah, exactly.
No, stupid.
All right. So, as always, thank you for listening, and we will catch you all in 2 weeks.
Thank you.